Hi everyone, I'm Mike from Sweet Maria's, and today we're going to be talking about the Behmor 2000AB Plus. Kind of one of the old stalwarts of the home roasting game at this point. Many of us got our start on something very similar to this. I myself have been roasting on one for about 10 years. What we've got with the Behmor is really a great drum-like roaster that allows you to get the same kind of profiles you can on a bigger roaster, but at home and in a much smaller package. It's not exactly small by any means, but if you think about like the size of about a toaster oven, as you can see, it still fits on your counter or maybe above your refrigerator in a cupboard when you're storing it away. It can roast up to a pound of coffee, though we recommend everybody start more at like the half pound setting size. For most of us, we think about this as a great entry level, solid 10 to 15 minute roaster. The Behmor has two kind of main settings. It has an automatic setting and then the manual setting. Both are great, both can get you great results, but we kind of recommend people stick with one or the other in the beginning. And then the other thing that makes the Behmor really unique is its best-in-class smoke suppression. So it's got a catalytic converter on the back, which allows you to kind of get away with roasting a lot more than other systems would without having any kind of ventilation. That being said, we still recommend you roast underneath like your stove fan or maybe near a window with a fan blowing air out just to keep the smoke out of your face. The smoke is a reality in roasting, and the smell, hopefully everyone likes it in your house because it's going to be there. But the Behmor does the kind of the best job of all of them in kind of keeping it manageable. So let's talk about a couple of the things we really like about the Behmor. The first one and kind of most obvious one or applicable one for a lot of people is that it's a fairly easy to get into system. And what we mean by that is really you have the ability to press a button, press start, and let it do its thing. If that's the kind of roasting experience you want to have, you still need to stand nearby the roaster because all roasters require you to be there looking at them. But you can also, if you wanted to, make it a little bit more of an active process by going into the manual modes. But even then, you're required only a couple of inputs during the roast. So it is still a fairly passive roasting experience. The other things we really like about it is for a home roaster, it being able to roast up to a pound of coffee is actually puts it on the higher end. Even if it is happier around the half pound setting, that's still the maximum of most other systems. So it gives you the flexibility to go a little bit more. The Behmor is built like a tank. There's not a whole lot you can do to these things. They've been dropped. They've been beat up. They've been drilled into by people all over the planet, and they still keep on roasting. You obviously have us for support as well as Behmor that stocks parts. And because of that, we have 10, 15, maybe even some 17-year-old machines out there still roasting. And then my final favorite thing about the Behmor is really, if you're the type of person that wants a full-bodied cup of coffee, you're going to find in your roasting experience that a slower ramp up in temperature kind of allows for the body to build in a cup of coffee. And this can be difficult on an air roaster that kind of blitzes through that phase. The Behmor sort of naturally, just because of the way it's designed, kind of forces you into a slower ramp up in speed. And that kind of leads to an easier way of doing a style of roasting that can be complicated on other home roasters. So now for a couple things we don't like as much about the Behmor. In the same way that it's really easy to kind of get more full-bodied cups, it can be really difficult to pull off kind of the higher, heavily fruited, lighter roasts. And a big reason for that is the way that you cool inside the Behmor. It's a pretty long cooling process, and there's enough thermal mass in there that we just end up with a roast that continues on a little bit into cooling. And the cooling phase itself is like anywhere between 12 and 60 minutes, depending on batch size. So it's a thing you have to plan into your days, and it's going to kind of slow you down in a longer roast day. And along the way, you're going to be using very Behmor specific inputs to make your roasting decisions. Since we're not going to be able to use sight that much because of the small viewing window and kind of heavily tinted light on the inside, you end up kind of relying on the temperature sensors. We have two temperature sensors in the Behmor, one of which is the chamber wall temperature and the other is the exhaust temperature. Both are very specific to the Behmor and things that kind of you end up having to learn over time. So that's a high-level overview of the Behmor 2000AB Plus. It's available online now, either as a solo unit or in the starter kits. In both situations, you get 8 pounds of free coffee to get yourself started. Um, Reach out with any questions you have, comment below, or send us an email at info@sweetmarias.com. It's going to go to me, so I'll probably be the one that ends up answering that email anyways. Thanks for watching, and happy roasting.